championship leader, though, lines up second on the grid. And there you can see just how grey it is, just how wet it is. We've had very little on track in the last hour. That means there's a lot more water standing on the road. They get these 2 formation laps, which is always the case at Knockhill, whether it's wet or dry. And they will be essential to try and shift some of that water off the road. But you can see the grooves, they're carving into the water as they go down towards Duffers Dip. Life for the drivers is now going to be very difficult indeed. Stephen Jalley's car does not want to get away, and the marshals, the team, and the Toka technical official is there. It might need a push, but it could well be that the car ends up in the pit lane as a non-starter. Let us see. Of course, it would be uphill, but you have to push. Bobby Thompson is on the grid for this race. Fingers crossed he does get into it. But Stephen Jalley's day is going from bad to worse, isn't it?
It's just... I'm guessing it's the starter that's failed, battery or starter. Something's gone wrong there. It looks like it just won't start, but of course you can't bump start it up the hill.
And because it's 2 warming up laps, the car really needs to be off the road. There is the cut through, but I don't think they're going to get it to the pit lane. I fear this is going to be a non-starter.
Yeah, I do. I mean, there is this drop down here, this little access road. I wonder if it would bump start down there.
On the tri-oval, it might do.
Yeah. Let's see if it would bump. Go on, give it. Go on. Oh, he's trying to bump it. You can see it jerking. That means he's trying to bump start it. One of the mechanics from Team Parker in there. No.
Not good, is it?
No.
Poor old Stephen Jalley, poor Team Parker Racing, because Stuart Parker and his team, plus Stephen as a driver, are working so hard to get this car up the grid. They achieved it yesterday. He raced so well for the first 2/3.
Oh, he's got it going. I think he's got it going.
And now it looks like he has, thankfully, got it going. So he'll be able to join the back of the queue. Hooray! So he's missed a warming up lap, but the good news is he will get into the race at the back of the grid.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. He was at the back of the grid anyway.
Well, he goes a row back, doesn't he? He goes behind Bobby Thompson, so he loses a row on the grid for what little that's going to make. So Ash Sutton leads the cars across the line, and there the checkered flag saying that's the end of your 2 laps, so stop on the grid next time around. Ash Sutton is on pole position, Colin Turkington with him at the front of the grid. Dan Camish will start 3rd alongside Andrew Jordan, ahead of Josh Cook and Tom Ingram. Tom Oliphant next, then Chris Smiley for company, ahead of Adam Morgan and Rory Butcher. Ricky Collard is on row 6, and alongside him is Tom Chilton. Brett Smith's on row 7. Rob Austin is alongside, ahead of Jack Goff and Ollie Jackson, then Sam Tordoff and Aidan Moffat. Senna Proctor will start on the inside of the 10th row. Alongside him is Glyn Geddy, then it's Matt Simpson and Sam Smelt. Mike Bushell is 23rd, James Cole alongside him, ahead of Dan Lloyd, whose wipers packed up in the first race, which made life awkward. Jason Plato's alongside him, ahead of Ollie Pidgley and Carl Boardley. A gap where Stephen Jalley won't be. Matt Neal is there. Bobby Thompson will start on the 16th row, and then behind him there will be Stephen Jalley now having to start from the very back of the grid. We needn't worry about tyres. Wets for everybody. Ballast based on the top 10 across the line in race 1. 75 kilos for Sutton, all the way back to 9 kilos for Rory Butcher in the MG from that 10th place. So, can Ash Sutton do 2 out of 2?
I really think he can. Such was his pace advantage in the first race. And with only a little bit more ballast on board, I'm absolutely sure he can. Ballast isn't going to make a difference. Car performance and driver performance is going to make the difference. So, you know, with a clear track ahead of him, if he makes a good start, he has a massive, massive chance of winning 2 out of 3 here to start the day off. Some drivers, I'm gathering, reporting that conditions are marginal at best for racing, but it's always worse when you go out on the 2 formation laps and don't clear as much water. But give it 2 or 3 racing laps and it'll start to clear.
Well, despite the drama of race 1, relatively few people fell off the road, so let's see whether that is going to be the same here. The fans, perhaps not here in as big a number as Knockhill would like, but the hardy fans that are here have still been treated to some great racing all day. The marshals doing, as ever, a sterling job in horrible conditions. Everybody here now wetter than a mermaid's flannel, and they are going to get wetter as the day continues, with lots more racing to look forward to at Knockhill this afternoon. Ash Sutton, though, slots into place on pole position. Colin Turkington with him at the front. There is Dan Camish and Andrew Jordan in the background. It will be, all being well, 24 laps. It would be no surprise were we to have a safety car, as there Matt Neal comes into shot. Behind him is Bobby Thompson, and Stephen Jelley doing the right thing, starting at the rear of the grid. If you get away late and everybody has gone past you, you have to start at the back. You can't wriggle away through and take your grid position. So Stephen Jelley goes one row effectively further back on the grid to line up alongside Bobby Thompson. So the one-by-one staggered grid is just about into place. You can see how heavy the rain is still falling. It's wipers on for everybody. Visibility is limited, traction is limited, and round 23 of the British Touring Car Championship is about to get underway. The 5-second board is shown. The drivers now look towards the lights. Which of the rear-wheel drive cars is going to make the best start? We find out now as we go racing. Sutton is away nicely. Turkington slots in behind him. Josh Cook gets away also ahead of Ingram. And down towards Duffers Dip for the first time. Sutton leads. Turkington second. It's Jordan up to third. Dan Camish fourth. Cook fifth. Ingram sixth. Oliphant seventh. And is anybody going to run out of road? Rory Butcher goes a little bit wide as they come down through Duffers for the first time. Vin Getty doing likewise. But up front, Ash Sutton converts pole into the race lead. He's getting away already.
Yeah, Andy Jordan made a good start, got across the front of Camish, but Camish was further back on the grid, remember, than the pole position.
Spin, off goes Ollie Jackson. That's Senna Proctor, I think, that's gone with him. Ollie Jackson ended up in that tyre barrier in FP2 yesterday, but now he's there in the race. He'll struggle to get off the wet grass, I would have thought there, so we could end up with an early safety car. We will see as down towards the hairpin they come. Safety car is indeed deployed. Safety car on the opening lap of the race. Ash Sutton leads Colin Turkington. Andrew Jordan is third. Camish fourth. Cook fifth. Ingram is sixth. Oliphant seventh. Then it's Smiley for eighth. Ninth is Morgan. And 10th, just on the outside line, is Rory Butcher. But we will go safety car at the end of lap one.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, I guess. But I was just saying, Camish being that bit further back from pole position in the first race, he was actually on the slope going backwards, and you get far less grip from the front tyres when they're up in the air. So he wasn't able to make quite such a good start as race one. Let's see what happened in that incident with Jackson. He's on the outside. Oh, you can see clearly in the spray what happened. Not. Just got tagged. You can see a mark on the back bumper there. Got tagged. And once again, here we go.
On the outside of Moffat. Runs wide, loses it.
Yeah, he did. He lost it himself. Got a right rear wheel on the grass and round he went. But bearing in mind how little he could see, that's an easy mistake to make. He can't see anything there. He can't see the road ahead. Look.
Round he goes. Senna Proctor gets involved. Marshall ducks, understandably, and Ollie Jackson ends up in the gravel. So the safety car is on track. And this doesn't help the drivers in any sense, especially as at a low speed, less water being shifted out of the way. So as the rain continues to fall, this is just going to make for an even more treacherous track. And I wonder whether drivers are trying to talk to the team and say just how bad it is, and can a message go to race control to give their opinions on this. The safety car comes over the timing line, and it is Ash Sutton, of course, the race leader, from Colin Turkington, from Andrew Jordan in the top three. But somebody dropping off the road on the opening lap of the race, the race control team will, of course, always be mindful of safety and of track conditions.
Yeah, they have to. They have to be careful. Drivers are trying to do some weaving. I mean, it's just to keep some kind of heat in the tyres. They're soft compound, wet tyres, obviously, and some weaving will keep some heat in it. The tyre only works best when it's got some warmth in it.
Rob Austin coming into shot in the Alfa Romeo in 14th place, and behind him is Brett Smith, who was running wide at the very start. Sam toured off, Aidan Moffat through, and there you can see the pack all bunched up. And currently we work lap 3 behind the safety car.
On board with Rob Austin at the start line, not too much wheel spin, gets a good start. Now, wheel spin actually came in second gear, but he's away now. That was a very good start, but look, he's lifting off well before the braking point, just because he can't see. Can't see anything. Wheel spin again as he gets back on the throttle. Staying on the outside, that's Ricky Collard in front. Down through the dip, again a big lift. No. Through the chicane safely, but that gives you a bird's eye view of the visibility on the first lap. It's like following 3 Arctic lorries on the rain in side by side on the motorway. On board with Matt Simpson. The incident that occurred with Ollie Jackson is a couple of rows in front. There's a 50-50 chance we might see it. But again, look at you. How can you decide where to brake when you cannot see anything? He's got Geddy on his left, but he's on the inside coming down into Scotsman. Actually, in the inside is the best place to be. Little touch there, maybe. Does it come down the hill? There goes Jackson across to the left. He really wouldn't have had a chance to do anything about that.
So there is the car being dragged out of the way. And as soon as the gravel trap is clear, we should be able to go back to racing. So Ollie Jackson's car out of the race, and Ash Sutton it is who leads the way by 1.5 seconds. But of course it's all irrelevant. He'll bunch them up before we go racing, and we should not be long before we get things back underway, because the gravel bed is now clear. As soon as that car's in a safe place, it may even be at the end of this lap, we'll be good to go. Over the timing line. So the order, remember, is Sutton, Turkington, Jordan, Camish, Cook, Ingram. Now Tom Oliphant 7th, Chris Smiley, then it is Adam Morgan and Rory Butcher. And with a little vehicle access points there, the track will be clear, and a wait to see the lights go out on top of the safety car. That's the indication that we will be racing at the end of the lap. So once they've gone through the incident zone, Peter Harris, who's the observer in the safety car, will report back. Track is clear. The call will come from Ian Watson as the clerk of the course, but it's still not quite out of harm's way, is it? No,
it will be, though. It just hasn't got enough lock to make the same right-hand turn that the Land Rover has, but a little bit of three-point turning, and it'll be out of the way.
And we have Bobby Thompson, incidentally, down the pit lane. His rather miserable weekend is continuing at Team Hard, sadly. So the road is clear. Thompson's in the pits, and the cars will work their way towards the hairpin shortly. And we await news as to whether this time or the next lap is when we will go racing. But the road is now clear, ready for the restart. We hope there is Bobby Thompson. It's just not been his weekend, has it? Whether it's been practice or qualifying or races, there's something going wrong there at every opportunity.
The attention here is on the right rear. It's not engine related. Remember, his problem in qualifying was engine related, but this is whether he's had some contact on the right rear, I don't know, but they're looking for some signs of damage.
We're getting another lap out of the safety car, by the way, because the pack is streaming past Bobby Thompson's car at the moment. So one more lap at least behind the safety car. And the lights are still on. This time, as they come past what was the incident zone, it will be clear. The lights go out, we'll be back racing this time.
Yeah, I did wonder whether they were just having second thoughts about the conditions, and that's why we did an extra lap. But you're right, the lights have gone out, and it'll be up to Ash Sutton to control the restart.
And no doubt he will do that with alacrity. He has been a real star this year, 5 times a race winner. And let's see whether Colin Turkington, with just the one win to his name, the championship leader, is going to be able to get the drop on him. Ash Sutton tries to get the pressures up, tries to get some heat into the tyres. Andrew Jordan still desperately hunting his first win of the season. He is there in 3rd place. Dan Camish, 4th, leading the front-wheel drive attack in this 23rd round of the 30. In the 2018 Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship, Sutton accelerates away down to the hairpin. We will go racing as soon as they cross the timing line and the green flags fly. You've still got that standing water at the bottom of the hill at the hairpin, where life is very wet indeed for everybody. And now they power their way up over the timing line. Ash Sutton leads, Colin Turkington goes after him, mindful that he can't give away points race by race by race. Ideally, he wants to be ahead of that Subaru. Down towards Duffers Dip they go. Turkington goes through in 2nd. Ingram gets up the inside of Josh Cook, has a look, but no way through there. Josh Cook is able to maintain the place, but Ingram's getting a bit more toey now, ever more determined to get past the Astra.
Yeah, he can see points slipping away, can't he, as his 2 championship rivals are in 1st and 2nd place, so this is the time to get racing for Ingram, definitely.
Also shed a bit of weight, of course, compared to what he had when he came here. So the Toyota now with only 33 kilos on board, lighter, should make some progress. The trouble is, to overtake, you've got to go offline where it's even wetter. Jordan pulls out of the spray to have a look at what the inside line might be like down to the hairpin. But look at the way that Sutton is getting away here. Camish staying on the back, and Ingram tries to do to Cook what Cook did to him in the first race, but he can't do it, or can he? He gets up the inside coming out of the hairpin. And the Toyota now will have the inside line all the way up the hill and them in towards Duffers Dip. 27 laps we will run because of the safety car, and Ingram is still dead set level with the Astra. Down they come towards Duffers. He's going to go through. Is he on the inside? Cook's going to have to give way eventually. Yes, Ingram goes through and goes up into 5th place.
That was a hard-fought place game, wasn't it? It took him a long time to get that. Oh, and Carl Boardley's off. He's straight on into the tyres. I think, but Oliphant's off, but he's back on. He's got on. Don't know if they were related at all, but unrelated, I think. But yeah, just because a car is quick in the dry doesn't mean it's quick in the wet. It's a completely different setup on these cars for the wet. Softer dampers, different roll bars, every geometry setting is almost different. And of course, they don't have an awful lot of testing in the wet, so it's a lot of guesswork.
Adam Morgan there at the inside of Tom Chilton, who goes wide, coming through the hairpin. Yellow flags in sector 3 because of Carl Boardley off the road. And you can see where Boardley's car is, just at the top right there. And Matt Simpson is in strife down at the hairpin as well. It would not be a surprise to have another safety car out of all of this, would it, as the leaders go by with a big twitch by Cammish. Now Ingram is going really nicely. He likes wet conditions, and so too does the car. So you can see now he's got past and pulled away from Cook. The Toyota working nicely in this race with less weight on board, and so now Ingram is on the back of Cammish as he powers his way along the short straight up toward Clark's.
Yeah, most of the teams will have made revisions to that setup between the first race and the second, getting the most amount of field during that first race, and relative, most importantly, to the cars they're racing against, gives them a better starting point for this race too, which is why we're seeing slightly different form.
Ingram has done the fastest lap. They come out of the hairpin. Cammish on the back of Jordan, who's now protecting Turkington. Collins getting away up the road. This is Ingram's view. I use the word view advisedly. Somewhere in all of this spray there are more cars. There's a pit wall, I think, on the left, and there's a corner coming up.
Yeah, and in that gloom is Dan Cammish running in 4th place.
Just the one wipe, you notice, on the Toyota, purely on the driver's side. And up front, has Turkington gone a little bit wide? He has, and Jordan's got through into 2nd place. So Jordan, rather than protect, attacks, and he goes through. He's up into 2nd spot. Turkington now comes under pressure from Cammish, and behind Cammish there is Ingram. Behind Ingram there is Cook. So this battle pack, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, all of which, of course, just like race 1, is enabling Sutton to pull away.
Yeah, and although West Surrey Racing run both the BMWs of Colin Turkington and Andy Jordan is racing for himself, for his own sponsors. Ingram down the inside of Cammish. Gets the car stop. Cammish has gone straight on that water. He said he didn't like that bit. And Cook is going to go through as well.
Mike Bushell is in the pit. Carl Boardley in the background is in the gravel. Ash Sutton is in the lead. Andrew Jordan is 2nd. Colin Turkington is 3rd. And Tom Ingram is up to 4th. 5th now is Cook. 6th down to 6th. Cammish, bit of a gap back. 7th over the line was Chris Smiley. But Turkington now is coming under attack, isn't he, from Ingram as they headed towards the right-hander of Leslie's and then down towards McIntyre's. They come. There is Sutton on his own up front, pulling clear. Jordan clambers up the curb, and Ingram is the man on the mission. And can Cammish fight back?
That's where Jordan got through. Turkington ran on too fast into turn 1, got wide. That's why they were all concertinaed up. And it really looks like the changes made to Ingram's car have given it more performance in this second race relative to the others. I know he's lost some weight. That is a championship battle. Points being given to Ingram as he passes Turkington and gets up to 3rd place.
Next target is Andrew Jordan. He's only 6 tenths back as they come over the line. So Sutton is leading by 3 seconds. Were Ingram to get past the Team Pertec BMW, could he go after the race leader? 27 laps is the new distance because of the safety car. This is lap 12, and this is the battle for 2nd place. Jordan versus Ingram. Oliphant is off again, and this time it looks like it's for keeps. He's in the gravel bed. So is that going to be able to stand? No, it's not. Safety car is deployed once more. Sutton's advantage is about to disappear once again.
Yeah, they can't take chances with cars off in the gravel in these conditions when drivers are so unsighted as Jordan gets a little sideways, loses momentum. They haven't got to the safety car boards yet. Even if they do, will they even see them? Ingram is trying ever so hard. Look, there's the flags at the marshal's point behind, look. So now they know they can't do any more racing. But yeah, Ingram's pace looks very impressive now. I don't believe it's because of the weight particularly coming out. I just think they've got a better setup now.
So over the timing line, 12 laps are done. 1.5 seconds was the margin. There is poor old Stephen Jelly, whose day is getting no better. He's out of the race. is it flippant to suggest water in the works, but I mean, there is so much rain, it might be affecting life for some. There is Tom Oliphant, who is in the gravel and is part of the reason that we've got this second safety car period.
Well, for Stephen Jelley, it could be... Oh, that was a lock-up. That was Oliphant just all on his own into that very slippery hairpin. Yeah, for Stephen Jelley, remember, the car wouldn't start on the grid, so whether he had a battery or an alternator problem, and although they bump-started it, it may have only had enough juice to last a few laps, and that may be why he's out.
Stephen Jelley into the pits. Mike Bushell has been in back into the race. Bobby Thompson likewise. Carl Bordley we saw going into the gravel. Ollie Jackson was off on the first lap. And so Ash Sutton with his second safety car period leads the way. There is Carl Bordley. So car off the road and helping the marshal to try and get it out of the way. There is a very frustrated Stephen Jelley. Andy Miller, his engineer, standing bedraggled to his left. A day that promised so much and has delivered, sadly, so little. So, over the timing line they come. Pace of race slowed again. Rain continues to fall heavily and the track surface continues to be treacherous, as you're seeing from cars going off the road. Yeah,
what we have seen already so far, though, is that Sutton has the pace to win this race. He's got the fastest lap at the moment, a 58.0. And he did have a nice little lead built up, which I'm sure he could do again.
75 kilos, as Tim was suggesting, making limited difference. He's gained weight, but the car leads the way. And could he win this? Could he even win race 3, depending on where he would start on the grid? The cars come out of the chicane, and we're on lap 14 with the safety car still on track here at Knockhill.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that fastest lap is a second and a half slower than the fastest lap he had in the first race. So conditions are considerably worse.
We have far fewer racing laps to try and sweep the surface too, as down they come in towards the hairpin. They come. There you can see Carl Bordley's car being hooked out of the way. Tom Oliphant's as well. So a little while, I think, before the road is clear, as they come now up over the line.
That hairpin is getting increasingly treacherous, isn't it, on the brakes? And the problem is, once you lock up, there's... as the marshals pulled that car out, the front under tray dug in. You saw the whole car lift up as it dragged it up. There won't be anything to connect a tow rope to on the front now because it's been wrecked. And seemingly no one on the brake. But that hairpin is, as it becomes more and more waterlogged, the increase in chance of aquaplaning there on the brakes increases. And as soon as you lock up the fronts on a front-wheel drive car, it's almost impossible to get it back again. Especially for drivers at left foot brake, because they haven't got their left foot on the clutch to at least dip the clutch and get the wheels rotating again.
So we are on lap 15, our second safety car period, and we keep talking about the gloom and the spray and the lack of visibility, but drivers saying after the first race, you know, there's the spray, there is the fact that the cars steam up inside. Dan Lloyd with the wipers packing up, that made life even more difficult. So it's not much fun inside the car, even at this low speed behind the safety car.
Yeah, I gather race control are now talking to some of the drivers to establish their thoughts on the track conditions.
And there is Peter Riches, the TOCA technical chief, talking to the WSR team, getting a take on it to relay to race control. And there you can see what the track surface is currently like. It's such a shame, because Knockhill is a great festival weekend. A lot of effort is made here. People come and camp. It's a great circuit. You can see that virtually the whole track from wherever you watch, and yet the weather this season has just completely gone against it.
Yeah, well, it's countrywide at the moment, isn't it? I gather MotoGP at Silverstone has been at least abandoned. They're talking to the driver. That's talking to the drivers. Yeah, so this weather is across the whole country.
Yeah, copy that. And how do you feel about the conditions for racing? Ian Watson's asking.
11 laps off the safety car, 10 more laps.
Can you fill in these sectors?
So race control talking to the officials in the pit lane. Peter Riches and his son Sam, the other part of the technical team, along with Phil Danbury, they'll be asking other teams, getting that information, feeding it back. We are staying behind the safety car. There is Christian Dick, the bespectacled boss of Speedworks, talking to the Riches family. They'll be talking to Tom Ingram. Thumbs up from Spencer Aldridge on the pit wall there, he's not the one behind the wheel, but Tom must be happy because he's been gaining places.
Well, you can't take just one person's view. You have to take several, because obviously some people will take the view that best suits them, not necessarily what suits everybody else. Ingram's the one making, he says they're fine. Alan Gow's getting involved, but basically Ingram likes them and Turkington doesn't. Well, that's what we're seeing. Alan will take a view on it, but what I can guarantee you is if they restart this race, there will be more cars in the kitty litter at the hairpin, because it's going to keep happening. We will keep getting cars in that gravel trap. And that means a safety car every time.
Indeed so. So at the moment, the officials are doing the right thing. They are getting an opinion from teams, from drivers, and erring on the side of caution by keeping out the safety car. Bits of car are swept, and the safety car, I was about to say slows coming out of the hairpin, but no, it does pick up speed once again. The track is clear. It is now really down to the decision of the clerk of the course, Ian Watson, his deputy Dave White, plus Alan Gow's input, as to whether we go racing or when we go racing. Over the timing line they come, and let's see if we can get a team's opinion on this. Let's go to Louise in the pits.
Yeah, down in the pit lane with James Rogers from Honda. And James, you've been on the blower to the guys. What are they saying about the conditions?
Right from the get-go, they've been saying that it's the worst conditions they've ever raced in. We actually didn't want to start the race in a normal manner. We would have preferred to have started under a safety car, but it started as it is, and we're here to race at the end of the day, so we'll do what TOCA wish of us.
So we can see that Peter Riches from TOCA and Alan Gow have been talking to some of the teams on the pit lane. Your view is that it should not continue?
I think it's marginal. I think it's marginal at the moment. I mean, it's changing moment by moment out on the track, so ultimately it's down to the drivers to make that call.
Thanks, James.
Lights are out. We are going to go racing. The safety car lights are being extinguished. You can see Ash Sutton is getting ready for the restart. Colin Turkington is on his toes to try and have a go back at Tom Ingram. Are we going to have another casualty? Who will it be? Ingram goes deep into the hairpin. We will go racing once more here at Knockhill. Ash Sutton leads the way. Andrew Jordan is on his tail as the green flags fly. We are back and running. Fingers crossed. We run to the end. Tom Ingram is third as they come over the timing line. Fourth is a ball of spray through which appears Colin Turkington ahead of Cook, and then it is Dan Cammish in sixth as they dive down through Duffers Dip. There the race leader is Sutton doing his best to get away. He's got the visibility, but equally he's the first driver every lap to come across all the puddles to find out what the grip level is like. Up the curve at the chicane, there's Jordan, then Ingram in third place. Turkington is fourth, possibly now just thinking, I need to finish, I need to get some points.
Yeah, definitely, but he's got a fired up Josh Cook behind him, who's hoping for even more places, but we're coming up to the trickiest section, braking for the hairpin. If we all get through this lap, well, there's a chance we can continue the race.
Down they come. Look, Ingram is on the attack against Jordan, and look at Cook up the inside of Turkington. He's got two wheels up the curb. He skims the gravel. The door is open. Cammish will come through as well. Who does Cook block? Well, he has to go across on Cammish. Here is Ingram trying to get up the inside of Jordan. Think about how little the guys can see. Think about how little grip there is, and then savour the racing. Here comes Ingram up the inside. He's done it. He's gone second. He gets the car slowed down, and he goes through. Great move into Duffers Dip.
Wow, that was super brave. He committed in enough style to get the car right up the inside. Jordan had no choice but to give him the position.
So Ingram is up to second. Turkington now is down to sixth, look, because he's dropped behind Cammish, and he might lose another spot to Adam Morgan here. one championship protagonist, Ingram, is going up. The leader, Turkington, is dropping down, and Sutton is still there in the lead. Morgan's Mercedes is coming good now, look, because he's right on the tail of Turkington as they drop down towards the hairpin. This is lap 20 of 27. They come into the braking zone. Sutton versus Ingram. We'll see what the gap is in a moment as they come over the timing line. But the way the Speedworks Toyota is going, could it catch the Team BMR Run Lavorg over the line? Sutton to Ingram is 2.1 seconds. That's the margin now to monitor as they go by. There is Jordan in first place. It's Cook fourth.
This is the cutback and the overtake on, or attempted overtake on Andy Jordan. On board with Ingram, he's got the run. He's not actually alongside until they get to the braking area, and he is braking on the slipperiest part of the track, and he pulls it off perfectly. And I have to say, the decision by TOCA to restart the race. Oh, big accident.
Sam Smelt off the road. Red flag this time. Red flag. Race stopped. And we will await.
Turn one.
Yeah, we'll await news as to a restart. Let's see what happens to Sam in the gloom, in the spray. The Audi S3 just goes straight on and boom into the barriers and moves all the recticel, so the barrier is exposed. That's another reason, apart from the car being in an awkward place, that's another reason to stop it, because the barrier is now exposed. Red flag. And we've done 74%, not 75, which is a frustration, but the car's all being brought into the pit lane, so I would envisage we wouldn't get a restart, but we will await confirmation and indeed what that does to points. Checkered flag, race is over. It is a win for Ash Sutton. It'll go back a lap on the count back, and Ash Sutton will take another win, a 6th of the season. Sam Smelt's okay, that is the good news. We'll confirm the result as soon as we can. Ash Sutton also, on the restart, had just done the fastest lap of the race. And a frustrated Sam Smelt looks at the damage. The race is stopped at 77%. It has now been highlighted to on the timing screen. That's full points, in other words.
Our timing screen is showing the order that they actually sort of came in on the in-lap, which is slightly confusing. We'll have to go back to the previous lap to get the actual order when the red flag came out. Yeah, Ash Sutton is going to take another full points win. Ingram is going to get second, so it's going to be an interesting championship situation now, with last year's champion really coming good at just the right time.
And Tom Ingram taking, as he has tended to do in recent events, another good haul of points in the middle race. We confirm a result at 20 laps. Sutton, Ingram, Jordan being the top three. Ash Sutton confirmed as the winner. Tom Ingram takes second, and Andrew Jordan will be there for the podium. And this is a ride height problem for the winning Subaru. So it could be that Ash Sutton is not the winner. Phil Danbury at the front of the car, you saw a moment ago holding it. Sam Riches was trying to do the ride height check, and the car is being pushed forward.
Oh, but he's got damage. Look, there's damage on that sill. Can you see at the front? There's a crack in the sill. I can see just behind. Is it a crack, or is it just the way the water's running? I don't know. It looked like a. Yeah, just. Is that damage, or is it just tape? No, it looks like it's just tape.
Well, the car's been allowed forward, hasn't it, into the Parc Ferme area? But there's Ash Sutton out of the car.
But very clearly, the roller would not go underneath.
No. There's a round of applause, there's limited celebration, but he walks over to the team and embraces. So unless something is looming, it's a win. But we could clearly see the roller wouldn't go under the side. Anyway, Ash Sutton thanks the team, but it's muted celebration, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Mind you, everyone's feeling a bit like that at the moment, I think, David.
That was said with feeling, I tell you. Round 23 here at Knockhill, red flagged, not restarted, and won by Ash Sutton. Tom Ingram taking second place ahead of Andrew Jordan in third. Josh Cook fourth ahead of Dan Camish and Colin Turkington, all of which will make the championship situation fascinating, with seventh Adam Morgan and eighth Tom Chilton, ninth Rory Butcher, and into the top 10, Jack Goff. Rob Austin 11th ahead of Chris Smiley, Sam Tordoff 13th, and then Ricky Collard and Aidan Moffat rounding out the scorers. Dan Lloyd 16th ahead of Glyn Geddy, and then Senna